Edo State Police Command of the Nigeria Police Force has confirmed the killing of one person at Ulouke community, at Uzairue clan, near Iyamho, the hometown of Edo State former governor and the current senator representing Edo North at the Nigeria National Assembly, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, when armed men invaded the community on Monday, kidnapping a woman and her sister, after shooting the woman's husband at the scene of the invasion. According to the police, a combined team of police and men of the Edo State Vigilante went after the kidnappers, and succeeded in rescuing the woman and her sister on Friday, but the husband was pronounced dead after he was rushed to the hospital. Ulouke is one of the 21 villages or towns that made up Uzairue clan, which includes Jatu, Afawa, Alele, Ogbido, Iukana, Iua, Iyuku, Imheke, Afashio, Iyora, Apana, Imhonike, Yelwa, Oza, Ikabigbo, Adato, Ugbena, Arekpai, Iyogwiri and Iyamho, where Adams Oshiomhole hails from. Statement from the Edo State Police Command reads verbatim in quote below. The Edo State Police Command has rescued another 2 kidnapped victims on the 18th of April 2025 at about 21:15 hours, demonstrating its commitment to tackle criminality in the state. This is further to a case which was reported on the 14th of April 2025 at the Divisional Police Headquarters, Iyamho, where a woman and her sister were kidnapped after shooting and fatally wounding the woman's husband at Ulouke community. The injured man was rushed to the hospital, where he was confirmed dead by a medical doctor on duty. In a swift response, the DPO, anti-kidnapping team stationed at Edo North, and Operation Rescue in company of vigilantes, hunters mobilized and went after the kidnappers in order to rescue the victims and arrest the kidnappers. The resilience and determination of the operatives led to the rescue of the 2 women, namely, Esther Friday 32 years and Joy Regbayan 23 years, whom the kidnappers abandoned and ran away because of the mounting pressure by the security teams. Unfortunately, the kidnappers shot one of the women on the foot out of frustration, but she is currently responding to treatment. Meanwhile, the indefatigable Commissioner of Police, CP Monday Agbonika, is working assiduously on strategies that would curb further crime and deter criminals, the police stated as contained in the news release signed and made available by the Command Public Relations Officer, Moses Iyamho, on Saturday. In a related development, the police command has rescued 10 kidnapped victims who were students traveling to Babcock University for an annual program. The command wishes to update the general public of the unfortunate kidnap of some students who were on their way to Babcock University for annual GYC Africa Conference on the 16th of April 2025 at a location bordering Edo and Ondo states. On receipt of this information, the Commissioner of Police, CP Monday Agbonika, immediately deployed operatives of the Ohosu Division, IRT, tactical teams alongside vigilantes and hunters into the bushes for possible rescue of the victims and arrest of suspects. During the operation, operatives engaged in a gun duel with these kidnappers. In the process, one of the kidnappers was neutralized, while others escaped with bullet wounds. The operatives were cautious to avoid collateral damages as the kidnappers used the victims as human shield. Unfortunately, an inspector of police sustained gunshot injury and is currently responding to treatment. This rescue effort eventually paid off as the 10 kidnapped students, comprising 8 male and female, were released due to intense pressure mounted on them. In a related development, 2 suspects, namely Binigolo Eberman 25 years and Matthew Denway 27 years, were arrested following a distress call that they robbed their victim of his motorcycle and his phones at Malim Camp Belabu community in Ovia Southwest local government area. Preliminary investigation revealed that these suspects, who were arrested with a locally fabricated pistol and 2 headlamps as well as the motorcycle earlier robbed, have been terrorizing farmers and commuters in that axis of the state. The suspects have confessed to the crime and would be charged to court as soon as investigation is concluded. CP Agbonika uses the medium to warn all miscreants in the state that there's no hiding place for them. They either repent, relocate from his area of responsibility, or face the consequences. He further reassures the good people of the state to shun crime and report suspicious persons, movement, or objects to the police, Moses Iyamho stated. Lagos State Police Command of the Nigeria Police Force in a very long press statement over its alleged false armed robbery accusation and detaining of a said minor, Quadri Yusuf Alabi claimed it acted on the basis of thorough investigation, but in its long statement on Saturday, the police command could not state any substance or reasonability linking the said minor to the crime, even when the police command claimed some members of the Amukoko community that identified the suspected armed robbers and street fighters were robbed of their belongings. This could have offered the police the opportunity to know if the suspected persons were rightful or wrongful, because, in the course of investigation, the police is expected to have been able to present or state one or two of the stolen items that was found in possession or connection of the arrested suspects, but, judging from the police statement, shows, the police did not do its work. Instead, it shifted its responsibility to the court by thus packing group of apparent innocent people to the court, for the court to decide for itself if the suspects are really what the police think they are. For the purpose of clarification, no matter the large numbers of people who may have made allegations against a particular person or persons, the investigative officer, either a journalist, intelligence or police officer, must consider such statements or accusations as hypothetical or tentative statements that could be proved right or wrong after empirical validations of facts, because human beings can conspire together in large numbers to make false allegations knowingly and unknowingly against a person or persons for a reason best known to them. Also, criminally minded people do lobby or coordinate people to deliberately make false accusations against their perceived enemy or enemies. This may explain why an investigative officer must be above board in the course of investigation by thus coming out with substance or reasonability beyond mere statements. Details of the Lagos State Police Command press release is signed and made available by its spokesperson, Benjamin Hundeyin, reads verbatim below. The Lagos State Police Command is aware of public concerns surrounding the case of Alabi Quadri, an 18-year-old who was remanded to correctional service following his involvement in violent attacks, public disturbance, causing extensive damage to public and private properties, and injuries to persons standing by in the Amukoko area of Lagos State earlier this year. 2. On January 22, 2025 to be precise, a serious breach of public peace and extensive damage to public and private properties occurred in Amukoko when groups of youths engaged in violent confrontations that escalated into street fights for all, causing widespread violence, panic, and chaos. During the chaos, a number of innocent passers-by were reported to have been robbed and injured. 3. In response, police officers of the command immediately launched an investigation into the incident. More crucial information was provided by members of the community, some of whom witnessed the incident and recognized several individuals involved. Victims of the robbery also came forward to give statements and positively identified the perpetrators. 4. Following a thorough and transparent investigation, Alabi Quadri and 4 others were arrested and charged to court in connection with the crime. The suspects were remanded by the court to a correctional facility pending the conclusion of legal proceedings in the matter. 5. The Lagos State Police Command undoubtedly reiterates its commitment to upholding the rule of law to ensure justice in all matters, and also ensuring the safety and security of all residents. All police actions taken in this case have been in the laid down processes and in accordance with due process, procedures, and based on credible evidence gathered during the investigation. 6. We urge the public to remain calm and allow the judicial process to take its course and be fully exhausted in the case. The command remains open to engaging with the general public, opinion groups, and community stakeholders to transparently clarify every concern and ensure justice is served fairly and transparently. Its statutory procedure in the criminal justice system and codes that police actions terminate where matters are taken to court. 7. Members of the general public in Lagos State are enjoined to stay calm and peaceful, and allow peace to reign to ensure justice for all, the police stated. In a swift reaction, Barrister Iyamho Effiong condemned the police statements and accused the police of spreading fake news in a failed bid to cover its atrocious frame-up of the freed Quadri Alabi. Iyamho in a press statement stated that, "Our attention has been drawn to a false and provocative statement issued by the Lagos State Police Command in which the command unsuccessfully attempted to mislead the public on the fabricated case they initiated against Quadri Alabi. The statement is not only laughable, it is ridiculous. It is embarrassing to see the police spread disinformation and fake news about an innocent Nigerian child. Nigerians will note that in our previous statements, we disclosed that our client was abducted by two area boys, named Lige and Baba Waris, while he was on his way home from work and dumped at the Amukoko Divisional Police Station. These same area boys and their cohorts have been harassing our client since 2023 in their effort to extort their share of the donations made to him after he stood in front of the convoy of Mr. Peter Obi. In its statement, the police claimed that Quadri was arrested in connection with street fighting. They also claimed that some properties were damaged, and that some persons were also robbed. According to the police, Quadri was identified by some people in the community and by the victims. First, we wish to restate that Quadri is not 18 years old as mischievously parroted by the police. He is 17 as contained in his birth certificate and attested to by his mother. He was born on the 29th day of September, 2007. Second, Quadri was not involved in street fighting and did not rob anyone. He also did not damage anyone's property. Third, there was no time that our client was identified by any victim of the alleged crimes. The police should tell the public when and where the identification was done and the method used. How was Quadri identified by the alleged victims when no identification parade was conducted as required by law, given that the alleged offenses were said to have been committed at about 10 p.m.? Fourth, the police in their statement said that our client was arrested, but they failed to state who exactly arrested him and the place he was arrested. Their silence on these key points is quite revealing. Sixth, the so-called casemates of Quadri are adults who are not known to him. The police failed to disclose the relationship or connection between Quadri and the four adults who were remanded along with him. We should also state for the records that the police had detained Quadri for about a week in the police cell before unlawfully taking him before a magistrate for remand. It is the law that once the permissible constitutional limit for detaining a suspect has passed, a subsequent order of remand cannot cure the infringement. It is preposterous that despite the legal advice issued by the learned Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, Lagos State exonerating Quadri, and his subsequent discharge by the court, the Lagos State Police Command, rather than exude remorse, has chosen the ignoble path of doubling down on its acts of perfidy, shamelessness, lawlessness, and utter contempt for justice and the truth. We condemn this gross act of recklessness and irresponsibility by the police. By taking this path, the Nigeria police force is reminding the country that it is very far from redemption. We shall meet the Commissioner of Police, CP Olatunde Mashood Jimo, the DPO of Amukoko CSP Olaniran Ismaila O, the IPO Inspector Odigbe Samuel, and others in the court in the coming days to seek redress and adequate compensation for Quadri. We will also file a formal complaint with the Police Service Commission against the lawless DPO of Amukoko. Nigeria is our country. We will not allow agents of impunity to get away with such abominable oppression of a Nigerian child, Iyamho Effiong stated on Saturday. We have reported that the former governor of Anambra State and the presidential candidate of Labour Party in the last concluded Nigeria general elections, Peter Obi, has met with the detained minor, Quadri Yusuf Alabi, an underage child who spent months in prison after some men of the Nigeria police force allegedly conspired together with some members of the Amukoko community in Lagos State, and fabricated armed robbery allegations against the said 17-years-old little boy who came into fame at the wee hours to the 2023 presidential elections, when he stood boldly with his two hands widely opened in front of the convoy of the then Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi. This, Alabi, who was discharged and freed by a Lagos magistrate court on April 17, 2025, had spent nearly 3 months at the medium security custodial center in Kirikiri after being falsely accused of armed robbery, a charge which the Lagos State Director of Public Prosecutions later found to be baseless. Former governor of Anambra State and the presidential candidate of Labour Party in the last concluded Nigeria general elections, Peter Obi has met with the detained minor, Quadri Yusuf Alabi, an underage child who spent months in prison after some men of the Nigeria police force allegedly conspired together with some members of the Amukoko community in Lagos State, and fabricated armed robbery allegations against the said 17-year-old little boy who came into fame at the wee hours to the 2023 presidential elections, when he stood boldly with his 2 hands widely opened in front of the convoy of the then Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi. This, Alabi, who was discharged and freed by a Lagos magistrate court on April 17, 2025, had spent nearly 3 months at the medium security custodial center in Kirikiri after being falsely accused of armed robbery, a charge which the Lagos State Director of Public Prosecutions later found to be baseless. Peter Obi, in a statement on Friday after meeting the little boy, said, "Today, I had the opportunity to meet with Quadri Yusuf Alabi, the young boy whose story moved us all. After enduring unjust and illegal incarceration, he is finally free, and I am very grateful to the lawyers led by Iyamho Effiong, who fought for his release, and also Dele Faratimi and Muz Hassan Nuruddin, whose constant intervention was instrumental in securing justice for the young lad. I listened to Quadri today, and one thing stood out clearly: his unwavering desire for education. Despite all he has been through, his only dream is to return to school and complete his education, and I will make sure he gets it. His determination is not just inspiring, it is a call to action, and I am committed to ensuring that he gets the education he desires and deserves. In addition, we must not stop at his release. Those responsible for his illegal incarceration must be held accountable. As we strive to build a Nigeria where fairness and integrity prevail, we cannot afford to allow such acts of criminality to go unpunished. I once again thank the lawyers and everyone who stood and remained unrelenting for justice. Together, we will build a Nigeria where education, freedom, rule of law, equity and justice, care and protection of the less privileged in our midst will stand as the foundation of our democracy." Meanwhile, the human rights lawyer, Iyamho Effiong, who stood in defense of the little boy's release on Thursday, has demanded the sum of 100 million nairas and public apology from the Nigeria police force as compensation for unlawful detention and false accusation. In a statement after the court set Quadri Yusuf Alabi free, Iyamho Effiong stated that, "We are excited to announce that Quadri Yusuf Alabi, the 17-year-old teenager who gained fame during the 2023 elections after he spontaneously jumped and stood in front of the convoy of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has been freed by the court today, the 17th of April 2025. Our client, Quadri, was abducted by 2 area boys, who are notoriously known in the community as Lige and Baba Waris, close to his family residence at Amukoko, Ajeromi Ifalodan local government area, and dumped at the Amukoko Divisional Police Headquarters, Pako Police Station, in Lagos State. Quadri was returning from work when he was grabbed by the duo, who, along with other jealous and entitled area boys in the community, have been harassing him and threatening to deal with him since 2023 for not giving them their share of donations gifted him during the last elections period. Quadri's family informed us that the Bale of the community equally pressured him to buy a cow and rice and cook for the community to appease the area boys. The abductors initially told the officers at Amukoko police station that our client was involved in street fighting. To the consternation of Quadri and his family, the police on the 26th of January 2025 took Quadri before a magistrate in Apapa, and obtained an order remanding him at the medium security custodial center, Kirikiri, on a trumped-up charge of armed robbery. The police fraudulently joined Quadri with 4 strange adults who had no form of connection or relationship whatsoever with him and claimed that the 4 strange men were his casemates. As part of the diabolical frame-up of our client, the officers at Amukoko police station also misrepresented his age to be 18, knowing that disclosing his actual age would likely raise eyebrows. When we were briefed by Quadri's mother a week ago, after the matter was brought to public attention by Ms. Hassan Nuruddin, the co-founder of Ray of Hope Prison Outreach, we swiftly escalated the case and took necessary steps towards securing his freedom. At the court today, the presiding magistrate, His Honor, A.O. Olarenfemi, Mrs., confirmed that the legal advice issued by the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, of the Ministry of Justice, Lagos State, Dr. Babajide Martins showed that there was no evidence to substantiate the allegation of armed robbery against Quadri. In his legal advice, the DPP recommended the non-prosecution of Quadri. Thus, the presiding magistrate discharged him and he was accordingly freed. We commend the DPP for standing by the truth in this matter. We demand that the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Command, and the Inspector General of Police, should as a matter of urgency, remove the DPO of Amukoko Divisional Headquarters and subject him to orderly room trial along with the IPO, 1 Inspector Odigbe Samuel, and other officers who participated in this evil, sinister, oppressive, and corrupt scheme of framing up a teenager for armed robbery at the behest of rogue, area boys. We demand that the Nigeria police force should pay the sum of 100 million naira, 100 million nairas .00 to our client as compensation. We also demand a public apology from the police. If the above 3 remedial demands are not fully complied with immediately, we shall initiate legal actions to seek redress. Quadri's case is a painful example of the putrefying corruption, monstrous impunity, and pervasive injustice in the Nigeria police force. There are many Quadris languishing in detention centers across Nigeria because of the unbridled criminality, lawlessness, and lack of accountability in the police institution and the weakness of the justice system. History will vindicate the just, the legal practitioner, Anibahe Effiong said. In the latest press release, the lawyer, Anibahe Effiong appealed to the general publics to raise funds for the little boy and his family to relocate from the Amukoko community over what the human rights lawyer described as threat to life. Anibahe Effiong said, "Following my discussion with the family of Quadri Alabi and at their request, I hereby appeal to all conscientious organizations, individuals, and corporate entities to offer immediate financial assistance to Quadri to enable him and his family relocate from the present community and home. Amukoko is no longer safe for them. Those behind his travails can easily target him or his family members again. This appeal has become imperative due to active threats to Quadri and his family. As of this morning, they still received threats. Upon the release of Quadri at the court, it became apparent that it is no longer safe for them to return to their home. Due to the urgency and severity of the situation, we have paid for and lodged them in a hotel for tonight. In addition to the necessity of relocation, Quadri's mother, who is a petty trader, has also pleaded with Nigerians to assist her financially to enable her cater for herself and her children. Her husband, Quadri's father, is deceased. Finally, we need to rehabilitate Quadri for him to be useful to himself and the society. He has expressed a desire to go to school. He is also open to acquiring a skill. If you are minded to assist, kindly send your support to the account details below. Account number 0092695127, Bank, Sterling Bank, account name, Quadri Yusuf Alabi. We will do our best this time to ensure that whatever is donated to Quadri is properly utilized and not misappropriated. In a follow-up post, the lawyer wrote on his social media handles that, "We have raised 3 million nairas within 2 hours of announcing the fundraising for Quadri Alabi. We are still far from the target, but the amount raised so far demonstrates that there are good and spirited people in Nigeria. Please keep donating."
Osas Connected, bringing you the news in a more digital way.